What the are you doing here, little buddy? Have a rest. Just relax. Take a load off your feet.
Welcome to Antimatters.
Hello everyone, welcome to Antroom Safari. Up this week, we have to clean the big natural setup because I think Pierce has moved out. I hope so anyway, otherwise I might get some surprises when I start cleaning. Had a shuffle of the leaf cutter setups. Also reopened the leaf cutters big bit, like the towers and stuff. Show them in a bit. The Camponotus Vicinis have now fully moved into their little setup as well. We'll have a little look at the Polyrhacus, at least the big colony. The smaller colony, they're not really doing too much. Nothing that's worth really looking at. We'll also have a little look at the Camponotus Singularis, which I've got some news about. And we'll also see if they've got any eggs. So first up today, let's have a look at the Atters. They recently got their setup reopened, I guess is the right word. Over winter, I decided to take the poles down, just because, well, food and stuff, it's just harder. It's easier just to get rubbish leaves by the mass and just chuck them straight in. Then you know they're definitely getting enough. But yeah, the passage is back open. If you didn't see it last time, what they have to do is climb up this bit of string, go down that stick to the bottom here. They can't climb up these bits because I've put some acrylic tube which the sticks are in and buried it, so they can't take a shortcut. But yeah, they go across this stick, or string I mean, onto this stick, all the way up to the top. You can see a few of them running around at the minute. And then down again. And then up again, and then down again, and then finally it goes down to the bottom where there's a nice bridge over to this one, which finally at the top has the food bowl. It's currently empty, but in a minute we'll give them some food, and then at the end of the video we can check back on them and see how they're munching away. You can see how quiet it is at the moment though, but oh my god, they're trying to take a whole stick. Nice little set of forceps there. That's clamping onto the rubber tubing, which is holding that in place. This is what I love about the Atta though. At the minute, they're trying to take this stick out of the tank, and they're doing quite a good job, to be honest. I don't know how they've got it this far, but it must have taken quite a lot of coordination. Yeah, let's get some leaves and stick them inside of here. One of the reasons I kind of like this type of setup is because it makes them work for their dinner as well. Like, yeah, they're not having to just walk down a tube and pick it up off the floor, all easy peasy, fast food. They have to do a load of work and figure out some puzzles. It will keep their minds nice and sharp. Yeah, stick some leaves in here. I think I'll get rid of this big stick. Let's just dump it lower down. We'll see how they get along though in a bit. We should see loads of little ants in a while, heading down all of the sticks and ropes with bits of leaves. I love it. Let's move on to the natural setup. This thing really does need a clean at the minute, and for a while I had a really good excuse as to why I couldn't clean it. It's because Pierce was in there, and I'm not putting my hand in with a giant spider. But I'm pretty sure he's moved out. All his nesting is looking a bit haggard, and he's no longer down in the corner. I think he might have just hopped up on one of the plants the other day and left. As you can see though, we have a huge pile of bowls being cleaned at the minute. We're going to have to take all of those out and also clean the glass because it's absolutely filthy. Cue the time lapse. I'm really trusting that Pierce isn't in here right now because I would not have my hand in here if he was. Fingers crossed he isn't. So I think that's most of the bowls out now. There must have been at least 100 in there. We have a whole little cup full of them. But what I can do now is just wash off the mud and give them a quick rinse, and they'll be quite good to go. Oh, managed to pull out a wood louse as well. If he's lucky, he'll get chucked outside. I've definitely opened up a nice bit of space inside. The only issue is you can't see any of it because of all the scuzz like this on the glass. So next step, clean the glass and maybe prune the plants so I can get nice access to the glass. It gets a little bit tricky up here, it's getting a bit bushy. So back to time-lapse mode. There's the glass all clean. Hopefully you can tell. Definitely tell my end. But it's really nice being able to see in clearly again. Let's see if we can have a little nose at some of the ants. Formica fusca are definitely still doing quite well in here, I think. I'm not too sure on the Myrmica rubra though. I think recently they've taken the opportunity that, well, now spring has turned up, to kind of leave. I do think the other day when I got stung, it was probably from a splinter, or maybe the whole colony in here, leaving. Because I haven't seen much of them since then. As always, I'm super happy with this tank. Here you can see you've got a snail on the floor, climbing up the glass is a spider. There was a Formica fusca around here somewhere, there she is. Got loads of wood lice. The whole thing is completely kind of bioactive. I have to constantly chuck in more bits of wood because the wood lice will chew them down and then they create the kind of fine soil here. I'll show you what I mean. It's kind of, here we go. You see how it's all really fluffy soil, and this is kind of the ants' excavation and a bit of the wood lice poop. But it's really nutritious, I think, for the plants, and yeah, they soak it up, all of the plants. And then eventually when I cut the plants, I normally dump the trimmings in the corner for the kind of wreckage to be decomposed again and go back around into the plants and to feed all the other bugs. The whole setup it's got to be a couple of years old now, and originally I started with some fake bamboo and a few of these plants and a few of these ones, the weird purple ones. But I've since kind of added this weird one, which I got from AntCon, I think, might have been. And what was the other new plant I added not long ago? Yeah, there's the remainder of the other new plant I added not long ago. I don't think it fitted in too well here. It was a little bit too dry in this corner. With the tank now being mature, I can kind of give feedback too, to myself I guess, but like this tank, one thing that I accidentally did is originally it had a fish tank. So here was the kind of soil area, and then there's a barrier, and then this is where the fish tank used to be. Hello reflection. But yeah, but this little partition wall here, I'd 100%, if you're making a natural setup, stick a partition wall in it. Because what I can do now is I like to keep this side like quite hydrated, whereas this side, it doesn't have as much kind of drainage built in and all of that. So if I overwater it, it basically turns into a swamp. Whereas what I can do now is chuck loads of water in this side, but because of the barrier, it holds the water like one side or the other. So I now have a nice gradient between not too moist and as moist as I want. Often during summer, I'll have like the water level in the bottom of the tank kind of an inch or two off the bottom to keep it all nice and hydrated. Also, with a natural setup, I definitely recommend leaving like gaps at the bottom because they're full of all sorts down here. Mostly centipedes, But yeah, there's plenty more. To finally cap off their kind of nice clean setup, I'm going to give them a little jelly. This is one I had lying around after I fed my crickets. Normally I don't like to encourage the woodlice population to go up, but it's not too bad at the minute. There's quite a lot of baby woodlice, so I'm anticipating some issues in a couple months, but at the minute the woodlice aren't too bad. Sometimes though, once they get out of control, they consume everything so fast. All of the plants, everything. Let's hop over to the next colony though. Oh, actually, before we get too far, check out this little cutie. Oh, look at it. He's like, I've never seen him carrying such a heavy load. Come here, you. It's a little acorn ant, but she's got a morsel of jelly. And it's huge compared to her. Oh, snail. I love the acorn ants. They add like so much character to any setup. Even if the big ants are being boring, there's always, tucked away if you look hard enough, some little acorn ants doing something. Let's quickly check back in with the leaf cutters. As you can see, word has got back that there's leaves, and the odd speck of leaf is now travelling along the system. On to the next ants, the Camponotus vicinus, in their lovely new crafting ant setup. Quality beard on them. Gotta be at least a 7 out of 10. Nice ritualistic burial site. Before we get into the nest, I think we'll give them a quick tidy up. We'll also use the broom and spade, or dustpan, and rake kit. With the bulk of the rubbish out of the way, I'm going to go in with a cotton ball because I'm still an amateur with the dustpan and brush. I'm getting better though, I think. One thing I do have to watch out with in this setup is there's actually no barrier, so the ants, I'm not sure if they wanted to, if they could just walk straight out. So far, no one has even tried to escape though, which I'm thankful about. Hopefully it stays that way. While we're here, we'll also give them a little bit of food. There you go, girls. A nice Easter themed bowl. Oh, they're hilarious. Look at them. Doing backflips because, oh my god, there's food. Oh my god, did you see this, everybody? Oh my god. Talk about an overreaction. These girls would fit right in on TikTok. Let's take a look inside of the nest. Oh, that went nice. They weren't even too disturbed by me opening the lid. So as you can see, there's the queen. There's also lovely piles of brood. What I think I'll do is water it a little bit. I'll probably water this end, I think. I think these girls like it dry, so I'll leave this end maybe a little drier. And if they want it moist, they can go to the other side. We'll see what they want. Setup is looking beautiful though, I think. Before I forget as well, I need to take that tube out because it's probably going to go off soon. It's been in there for a week now and it is sugar water, so I don't want it to go off. After taking the tube off, I needed something to cover the hole that it left. So what I've done is got a little nest bung and shoved it in the hole. It fit alright, but it was a little bit loose. So I also added a little bit of blue tack just so that the ants can't escape at all. I think these girls are fully capable of lifting up that little bit of plastic and sneaking out. That's my main worry. With them looking all happy though, I think it's time to get them back in the incubator. They're definitely enjoying their new crafting ant setup, and I think they look really good in it. Soon this nest should be filled in a little bit. Currently it's half full, but there's enough brood there to fill the other half, I think. Can't wait for that. Let's get on to the next ants though. I think we'll have a look at the Polyrhacus dives, at least the big colony, because, well, it's nice to keep up to date with them. So here's the Polyrhacus. As you can see, the outworld is just heaving now. There's ants everywhere. I think their numbers might be going up. You see, even in the water tube here, there's a little ant trying to weave it up. Pretty soon they may need an expansion, which I can't wait for that. Let's try and get a look inside of the tubes. This is the first tube. Plenty of small larvae and eggs. They have no shortage of them at the minute. There must be hundreds. They've probably got 500 small larvae scattered throughout the nest. And a lot of the chunky larvae are growing up too. Moving on to the next tube. It's very hard to see inside of this one, but there's some medium larvae, loads more eggs and stuff you can just make out, and I think there's some cigars or cocoons behind this kind of yellowish veil. You can see some more of the eggs in the first tube here. Look at that. They pile them up. In the third tube, another huge amount of eggs and small brood and larvae. They also have a few cigars on the floor you can make out there. And inside of this small chamber here, I think they usually keep a load more cigars. They're such an amazing colony at the minute. I love watching them. I think their numbers are going up too. It kind of, as with all ants, their numbers do go up, I think. However, when you look at them all the time, when you're feeding and just generally observing them, you don't notice that the numbers have gone up. But soon I'm going to have to go back to an earlier video and have a little comparison. God, I love Polyrhacus. Upgrade wise, I have a nest in mind, which I'll show you now. At the minute I'm contemplating lots of things to do with this nest, but it does seem a really good opportunity for the weavers. I'll show you. So currently I have this nest here, which I made a while back, and what it is, let's take the top off. It's 2 tubes of acrylic, basically sandwiched, and what I was planning to do is fill all of this with mud, and you'd be able to stick a light in the middle or something, because it's hollow, and you'd be able to see all of the chambers. However, the Polyrhacus, I think they might also benefit from something like this. If I stuck a few bits of wood in, I think they'd weave it all up, and because I could get a light down the centre, I'd probably be able to see through the silk a little bit, and I think it might work. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you want the design for this as well, let me know, because I have it. And all you need to do is buy 2 little tubes of acrylic. Any size you want as well. If you wanted, you could have a metre tall nest. Back to the ants though, I better get them some food before they get too cold. I can't wait to see how these girls turn out over the next few months. I'm really hoping their trajectory stays what it is now and they head to the moon. The floor's been completely woven up again. Taking a quick sneak in with the other polys, you can see they're not really up to too much. I think they're steadily growing away. Just an idea as well for something at Ant Antics. What I'd really love for a pop-off is the little ring inserts that go between the kind of 3D printed parts and the acrylic. If you could get smaller ones of those that would restrict the hole size, that would be well good. Looking at the other ants, here we have the Campanodus cruentatus. We won't get them out because I'm too lazy, but as you can see, just about. You can see inside the tube here, they've got loads of brooding spread over 3 tubes at the minute, and loads of cocoons coming through. I think they're set for a nice expansion in the next few weeks. In the pogos, everything's looking really good at the minute as well. We've got loads of fresh creamy yellow workers popping up. Saw the overwinter brood developing nicely. In the proper back chamber where the queen and the brood live, I think, what have we got in here? Oh, nice amounts of brood is definitely turning up now. This is all fresh stuff from after hibernation. They never fully stopped producing new workers, however over winter it definitely slowed down a lot. But yeah, there's eggs turning up now, and Fathead Red, the queen, she's looking good. Such a beast. In the outworld, not too much going on. They just stood around like Nikos. I'll give them a bit of water and I think they're good for another few days. They have their seeds, so I don't have to worry about feeding them too much. And yeah, all I really do is chuck in a load of protein, maybe once a week, like a massive helping. Let's go a bit lower. Atta doing Atta stuff, Acro doing Acro stuff, which is also Atta stuff, everyone just doing fungus. Here's the Singularis, which I've moved down to the leaf cutter pod as well because it's about 25 Celsius in here, which I think the Campos, they like it a little bit cooler than your normal kind of. And see if we can have a look in. I might pull her out. Let's pull her out. Still no signs of brood really with these girls. However, I see the queen and the workers sharing the food around at the minute. Hopefully they're filling her up so she can start producing eggs. All I'm going to do is keep feeding them. And fingers crossed, some eggs appear. I've got big news about the Singularis as well. Not about this colony though. There I go, I've just spilt all the news. I've got another colony coming. The other day I was looking around and I spotted some and I couldn't resist any longer. So I've got some more Singularis coming. One queen, 20 to 30 workers. I can't wait to see them. What I'd like is, well, I just want 2 colonies because they're brilliant to start with. But also, I want to kind of compare them with each other. That way I'll know if one colony is kind of producing eggs or something and the other one isn't, then maybe there's an issue. Or maybe it's just natural, because at the minute I think this girl not producing any eggs yet. I think it's kind of completely natural. She's just about to come fully out of diapause maybe. Well, I've topped up the Singularis food, which I didn't really show, but there wasn't much to show anyway. I forgot to film it. And stuck them back in the incubator. Fingers crossed next time I have a look they'll have some eggs. I stuck the amazing picture from Pumpkin over the top. Hopefully it will promote growth. Skimming over the Flavus, they're doing really well at the minute. Currently it's the morning, so they're not up though. They're very much kind of afternoon girls, these, it seems. If I feed them now, I won't get much activity, but if I feed them at about 7 PM, they'll come pouring out, and you get a little yellow river now. I'll try to catch some snippets soon. But it's really impressive. Their numbers have definitely gone up, and a lot of the cocoons have enclosed, I think. Across from them we have the Myrmica rubra. They're doing alright. However, I've got some plans for these. You can see they've started producing brood though. Looking good. Let's pull them out though so we can have a closer look. So inside the rubra's setup. It's looking a bit dirty at the minute, but just don't look at that. For some reason there's a random queen who is just kind of under that little stick there in the outworld. Probably come out for a snack. Her workers are kind of keeping her safe though. Spinning around the back. Chambers are still quite nice. We got a nice amount of activity at the bottom. And then, oh, there's a nice queen there. Got a little egg catch here. They're a bit slow this year, these girls. The kind of eggs are, yeah, being slow. A little bit like the Singularis. There's another queen abdomen there. Somewhere as well they do have a few larvae kicking about. I think they must have been some of their overwinter brood, but they keep them quite hidden away. Anyway, these girls, what I think I'm going to do is change their setup. Maybe temporarily, maybe for a while. But what I've got in mind is, I'll show you. I'll pull it out. So here's the new nest. I got sent this one over from anthology.co.uk. It seems like a really nice design. It has a nice gypsum insert, which I'm always a fan of. It's just good for hydration. But the standout feature of this nest is the angle. The nest is set at about a 30-degree angle, I'd guess, which lets you kind of see in nicely. Because it's gypsum as well, the hydration, it can kind of wick itself around the nest quite easily. And I think this nest has everything it takes to kind of look after your ants. So I'm going to give it a test, and I'll make a proper review video eventually when I've moved in, hopefully, the Myrmica rubra, I think. Because for them it would be perfect, and I could really kind of hydrate the gypsum quite a lot, and they'd love that. To hydrate this little nest as well, there's a hole around the side here, and I think the water must go down here and then it just gets soaked up by the gypsum. .co.uk for sending it over though, and yeah, check out the site. So what I think I'm going to do is actually stick the nest inside of this nest, and yeah, I can't see any problems occurring. I'm going to kind of put a bit of blue tack over the hydration hole in the nest that they're going to move into, so that none of the ants can crawl in there. But yeah, apart from that, I think I should, if I clean it up a little bit in here, be able to entice them into the new nest. What I'll also do is slow down on the watering of the soil in here, so yeah, hopefully they'll naturally choose the moist gypsum over the kind of dry soil. It sounds like such an easy plan, but I highly doubt it's going to be that easy, but you got to try it first. Something to note about the broom is it doesn't seem to squash the ants as well. However many times I sweep them up, they seem to get back up and run back into the broom again. There we go. The broom really does excel though in this kind of open top outworld. Oh, it's just easy peasy. The biggest issue is the phone is in the way. There we go. Got a couple Klingons, but I'll get them off. Oh, come on, little Klingon. There we go. Before I blue tack the hydration, I'll make sure it's nice and wet. The water seems to go in without any issues. Oh, there we go. I think there's quite a nice bit at the bottom. That should all get soaked up though nicely by the gypsum. I might add a little bit more. Or am I gone a bit too far? There's some water now coming out of this side. Let's try to suck it back up. There we are. Not too worried about that little bit of water there, because I think the whole thing is going to suck it up sooner or later. You can see it right now. The water levels are already dropping. A little thing I've noticed is because the water does drop to the bottom, this area is always going to be, if it's hydrated, kind of more hydrated than the top. So it will create its own natural gradient if you're lucky. Which, yeah, that's a cool little feature. I like gradients. So I stuck it in. The ants are straight on it. Fingers crossed, in a week or two, maybe they'll have moved in. You can see from here as well, the kind of moisture layer as it's creeping up. I think it's about here now. You can see a slight change in the gypsum's colour. Anyway, I need to clean out this mess and stick them back into the incubator. Time for some peak scooping here. Not that I know what I'm going to do with this rubbish. I want a little bowl to put it in. There we are. Fingers crossed, if I put this rubbish here into this bowl, they'll start dumping all their rubbish into that bowl. And then I don't have to tidy it all up. I don't think it'll be too long before they're checking it out, but I'm going to stick them back in the incubator. So other little changes in the ant room this week. I decided to fiddle with the Mesobarbaras a little bit. They're now in a super tall tower. I just put 2 nests on top of each other and gave them a spiral staircase to get up and down. They're still completely grubby. Yep. Yeah, also that's the Acro's old outworld. Still fishing out the last workers, but nearly done, because I've swapped it out for another one. Fuska, doing Fuska stuff. Taking over, you might be able to see some cocoons in here. Not today. So let's check in with the leaf cutters. Word has definitely got back to the nest that there's food out here now. It is buzzing. They're destroying the plant at the top, but yeah, as you can see, the sticks get so much more active when there's a trail going up them. Compared to earlier, it's a hive of activity. Taking it the long way home. So I think that's basically it for this week's episode. One thing I've got to say is thank you for everybody for getting me to 2,000 subscribers. I think it's pretty epic, really, I think. So thanks very much. I think what I'm going to be doing as well is maybe like 4 or 5 little videos to kind of celebrate. I'll do an ants anatomy one, though I know that one for sure. What was the other one I was thinking of? Ants anatomy. If you got any ideas at home as well, stick them in the comments. But yeah, ants anatomy. I had some ideas. Oh, I was going to do a live stream where I share a load of nest ideas, because I've probably got, I don't know, maybe 100 ant nest designs on the computer, and I'm never going to use them, so I might as well share them. But yeah, if you got any ideas of anything you'd want to see as a special episode, let me know. Well, thanks for watching. Have a fabulous week. May our ants live long and prosper, and bye.